coming up on Mic'd Up.
People in the industry will cross those lines, and that's why you always have to maintain your personal bubble, is what I call it, and never let somebody get in between or inside your bubble. There's times where I've walked off sets because people have gotten in my personal bubble, and that's the most important thing, is your mental health, making sure that you're comfortable, that you're mentally comfortable with anything that you're going through. So yeah, 100%. Don't be afraid to stick up for yourself, is what I say. Stick up for yourself. For anybody out there along the journey, you're going to fall. Like, I've fallen so many times, but I feel like it's really important that throughout your journey, you're going to fall down, but that's okay. That's the best part about it, is you can get back up and you can continue that journey. So just learn from those drops, learn from those falls, get back up, dust your shoulders off, get back at it, just never give up.
Welcome to Mic'd Up. I'm your host, Mike DeChocho, and on my show, I interview entrepreneurs, award-winning authors, entertainers, business leaders, athletes, and other talented individuals who I personally invited to join the show to inspire you to be brave and bold in pursuit of your dreams. If you dig this show and are looking for more inspiring content from incredible people, click the subscribe button and you'll be notified of each episode release. Subscribing is free, and it means the world to me that you've chosen my channel to tune into. You can give a gift of thanks and appreciation for providing this content to you. Simply visit patreon.com/mikedup, MIKEDUP. Any amount is greatly appreciated and totally unexpected. I welcome you to connect with me on my other social channels as well. All links are clickable in the description to make it even easier to connect. Thank you again for tuning into Mic'd Up. Enjoy the show. Our guest today has an inspirational comeback story that can provide hope for those struggling with their vices, and this year, she celebrates her 10-year sobriety mark. She provides real and raw original music that is fueled by her story, and her talents have been recognized by many, earning her over 48,000 votes on America's Got Talent Front of the Line Pass in 2017. She was later featured on PerezHilton.com as well as the front page of Ion Indie magazine. Currently, she's working on her new EP titled Destiny and will be releasing singles from the album for the next several months until the full album is released. Welcome to the show, the incredibly talented and inspirational pop recording artist, Mindy Davey.
What's up?
How's
it going?
Hey, thank you so much for being here. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Doing really good. How about them Bills?
How about them Bills? Yeah, as we're recording this, guys, I'm not exactly sure when this will come out. It's going to be pretty recent. So the Bills right now just won the wild card, crazy super wild card weekend where they crushed the Patriots, and they're going into Kansas City as we record this. So go Bills, love them. It's part of our culture here in Buffalo, and I appreciate you being obviously a Buffalonian. You understand and appreciate how crazy that is here.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be a lot of people tuning in from Buffalo, but also what's cool about Mic'd Up is it's really all across the country and across the globe. But I'll say this real quick is I get messages from people whenever the Bills win, and it's people that just met me from all over the world. They associate me with Buffalo, which is cool.
That's awesome.
I'm a Buffalonian, huge Bills fan. I know there's many, many, many huge Bills fans, but it's cool when you get like a go Bills from someone who's not even in Buffalo because they know how much it means to us.
It's awesome.
Welcome to Mic'd Up. Mindy Davey comes to us here, as you heard in the top of the show, a recording artist. She's a super talent, pop vocalist. She also is just phenomenal lyrically. She writes amazing songs, but also she can rap, like she can hang with the best of them. So we have an incredible talent on the show. That's part of the reason that I wanted to bring her here. As you heard, she has this really impactful comeback story, and I know she wanted to be on the show here to help out. Even if we help on one person today, it's worth our time in doing it. Before we dive into your story, though, I want people to know they can connect with you on social media, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. Any others you want to mention?
Yeah, I got my website, which is www.mindydavey.com. And then I go live weekly on an app called Twitch. That's the only place I go live at. So, yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about Twitch. I know we were joking off camera. I'm like, man, I've seen it. I've heard of it. I've seen some of your highlights on Instagram where you're sharing when you go live on Twitch, but I don't know much about it other than it's involved with video games and you have a super comfortable chair that you're sitting in right now because you're a gamer. So tell me about that.
Yeah. So The cool thing about Twitch is it's not just gaming. It's actually a community of where you could share your music and your art, and you can game. It's mainly gaming, but I think it's really cool. During COVID, I kind of didn't do much on Twitch at all. And a lot of people of my friends wise that are live streamers, they were like, come on over to Twitch. And so finally, just recently, 2 weeks ago, I decided going into the new year, I'm going to go on an app full time and just one app. And that was Twitch. So what's cool about my channel is I'm able to showcase music, number one. That's what I do mainly on the app. But I also get to relax and just when I'm on tour, I love to games. When I'm on like the bus or I'm just like at the hotel, like we're just hanging out. I'm always like kind of on my downtime gaming. So I thought that was really cool to showcase not only my music, but my gaming. And then obviously I'm 9 years sober. So I also like to talk about mental health and stuff on the channel too. So yeah, I kind of like mix it up on the channel, keep it kind of fresh and always new.
I think it's so important too, because that's a big part of your personal brand is like who you are, your story, but also you enjoy gaming, you enjoy that community and hanging out in it. So you're hanging out with people who you enjoy being with, but they also get to see your talents. And so I encourage anyone who's listening to that. It may not be Twitch, but find your platform where you enjoy hanging out with the community. And also it's an opportunity for you to be yourself. And that part of Mindy includes your being a vocalist, not only a singer, but a songwriter. And they get to see that. And then obviously that's part of your personal brand, which is huge. And you have fun gaming. So why not do it? And you mentioned you get to do it while you're on tour, which is really cool. We're going to talk about some exciting moments you've had both on the road and also in studio. So I think that's really cool. And I personally don't do as much gaming anymore, so I probably wouldn't do it for that. But like you said, there's other aspects of the community that you can dive into and really showcase your different talents. So awesome. I definitely look forward to seeing more of your content all over social media. Something that's really cool, guys, if you're tuning in for the first time on Mic'd Up, to check out Mindy. I make it really easy. Like everything is clickable in the show notes. So you don't have to worry about remembering like mindydavey.com or spelling it correctly. Just go to the show notes. You can click on it. All of her social media is there as well. So here's something too, before we get into like the full backstory, the word on the street is that you're also releasing some cover songs between the releases of your Destiny singles. Can you give us a little bit of a tease on like maybe a couple ideas that you're going to be covering, or do you have an inside scoop for us on that?
Yeah, I'm always kind of checking out like the top Billboard songs, really the songs that everybody's loving. And then I like to kind of choose the one that I'm vibing with the best. And then I kind of just put my spin on it. I always like to take a cover song and I like to put my original spin on it. So the cool thing about the cover songs too is when you guys hear the covers, it's all done by me. Normally I'll go into a studio and I'll record, but I have actually my own studio at home. So I'll just dive into the studio and record my own covers, which is cool. So
if you get an idea, you're just like, hey, this is a song. I think I can do a really cool spin on it. You got the studio. So from like concept to execution can happen really quickly because you have a home studio.
Exactly. That's actually why I built it, because I was so tired of having these ideas, or I'll hear a song on the radio, I'll be like, I want to cover that, but I'll have to wait like a week to get into the studio. So
that's even a quick turnaround. I was going to say like, yeah, we can fit you in like, March. And you're like, man, I got to hold on to this idea for 3 months. Another thing I was joking with you off camera, Mindy comes prepared. She's got like a solid microphone. She's got a studio. You got cool lighting going on. Like I've had more so early on in the Mic'd Up journey where people were like in their cars trying to jump on calls with me. And I'm like, guys, we're recording this. We're putting this out to the world. Like even if it's at your house, just go somewhere where we can record you. So it's really refreshing to me to have somebody like yourself who gets it and has great equipment, and you care about the quality of it as well.
Thank you.
There's definitely a balance of putting content out that could be raw and doesn't need to be over polished and produced, but definitely appreciate when we're doing a podcast that we come with it prepared. And so I'm looking forward to your covers.
What it's all about.
Yeah. Do you have any in mind already that you are working through?
I really want to do kind of like an old 2000 song, like a throwback song. So we're kind of diving into looking at what songs were hits in the 2000s and really kind of cover one of those. But we're not getting involved in the covers right now because we're working more on original stuff. Yeah, covers definitely we're going to be putting out in, I'd say, about a month. We'll start killing them. Yep. Do
you have a producer that you typically work with? If you're releasing an album or doing the singles, do you kind of work with the same team? Because you just said we, or do you kind of pick and choose who you're working with?
it's kind of a toss up, you know, on this album in particular that I'm putting out this year. I'm working with a bunch of different people, but I definitely say my main studio that I work with right now is Lost Recording Studio. They're in Jamestown, New York, and they've been absolutely amazing out there. Not only can I go out there and just refocus, Jamestown's beautiful, but I can also have a solid team where, you know, they get me, they know me inside and out. So they'll get me behind that mic and then they'll just kill it, you know, the whole way through.
So important to be comfortable with your team. Yeah, that's awesome. Shout out to Lost. And you said Jamestown?
Yeah, Jamestown, New York.
I've never been to that studio, but that's cool. Yeah, it's so important to have people who not only believe in you, but they get you, like your different quirks, the way that you're going to want things set up or hear it back. And then also, like, when you have someone that you're that comfortable with in studio, they can challenge you too, because they know, all right, Mindy, we know you got this. And then, like, if you're not maybe giving your best performance and just having a day that's not going smoothly, they're not going to be like, oh, that sounded pretty good, let's go with it. Because if that's someone's first time hearing you, they may be like, wow, she's really talented, we're happy with that take. But that team is going to know, like, Mindy, we can go here with it.
You could do better.
Yeah. So you're shaking your head, obviously, for those that are listening in. It makes a difference when you're working with a supporting cast and crew like that, for sure.
Yep.
I'm going to jump ahead in a question since we're talking about your music. Can you name a couple inspirations for your pop and kind of that rap blend that you have? Is that something that you've been listening to that style in your developmental years, or is that something newer to your mix?
Yeah, I definitely think rapping has always been a part of me. You know, back in the day when I was in high school, I just hang out with my friends and I don't even care if I'd mess up. I just hit a beat on and I just freestyle. And I think throughout the years, I just kind of kept doing it and I kept getting better and better with practice. And I think for sure, I know people are going to find out about my story, but when I was in rehab, I was watching the Ellen show and I saw Justin Bieber on the show. And that's when I was so inspired by him musically that I decided, I'm like, you know what, if he can do it, I'm going to do it. I ended up continuing when I was in rehab doing music. And that's when I really started just hammering down on my music. And, you know, I think that for sure, Justin Bieber's a huge inspiration to me in the industry, for sure, musically.
And what's exciting too is we're going to unpack this in part of your story, but you worked with Mama Jan, right? Jan Smith.
Yeah.
She's Justin's vocal coach. So you're working with his vocal coach now. That has to be a surreal moment for you.
It is.
Because that's someone who you idolize. I know these are my words and not yours, but essentially you're working with his vocal coach. You're getting on that level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's amazing. Let's do it. Like, you were helping me there with the segue right into it. So I'd like to take a moment here and have you share. You mentioned it's 9 years sober, going on a decade now. Can you share the story about maybe a little bit of how you got into that situation and how you got yourself out of it? As much as you want to share, the reason that I ask you that question is because I feel there's people that can relate to this and you can help them out. And it doesn't have to be maybe drinking or drugs or anything like that. It could just be a vice that they're caught up on. It could be pornography. It could be a number of things. So how did you find yourself in that? And was there a moment that you knew like it was rock bottom and the only way was up at that point?
Yep. So I think for me, at a young age, you know, I was a tomboy growing up. I grew up with two brothers and real close-knit family. So I was just kind of like a carefree kid. And like, I would hang out with more guys. I'd have more guy friends than I'd have girlfriends, right? So jeans and a giant sweatshirt for me going to school would be comfortable. And I think that kind of put me aside on being different from other people. And because of that, I was a target. A lot of times I would get bullied in school. And so every day I'd come home and my mom was my best friend. She was always the one who would pick me up when I'm down from school. So it got to the point where I was going in to be a freshman and my mom got sick. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. She was in a lot of pain all the time. And come to find out she had endometriosis, which is a disease that attacks your lower organs. And so she was in the hospital in and out of surgeries and stuff. And I kind of really didn't have that support that I had before because she was sick, you know? So I ended up going to school the one day and it was homecoming week. And I was just having a terrible week. And these two kids came up to me and they're like, hey, you know, there's a party going on for homecoming, you know, you should come. And at the time I was like, I don't know if I should go, you know, not many people like me, but I just wanted to kind of feel accepted and like make friends. And so I went. That's where all of it started. I was introduced to Oxycontin at the party and kind of just let loose. And that was the moment, as soon as I tried Oxy, I was pain-free. All my worries, everything was gone. And that's where it kind of all started for me. That's when I started just using that as my outlet. Anything that went wrong in my life, I would just go use. It kind of got gradually worse through my third year in high school. I dropped out. I ended up kind of just full-time using. And I ended up getting arrested my first time. And they placed me on an outpatient ACD kind of probation. And I completed that. But throughout the probation period, I was still using this fake drug called Pump It, which they sold here at the Res out in Akron, New York. And that became my new outlet. It didn't detect on any of my tests. So
I was going to say, so it doesn't detect, but it gives you a little bit of the same hit.
Exactly.
The same buzz or similar. Yeah.
It was like a fake methamphetamine. And so I ended up using that, kind of cheating it. And I ended up, as soon as I finished my ACD, I ended up back on the street using the hard drugs again. And so then I ended up getting arrested again, my second time. And this time the judge was like, you got to go to rehab. So he placed me into a 6-month treatment, and which I say everything happens for a reason. A week in my treatment, I found out I was pregnant. And I knew at that time I wasn't just hurting myself, I was hurting my child if I did anything. So from that day forward, I said to myself, you know what? I have to make my life better for me, but for my child now. From that day forward, man, I completed my 6-month treatment. I went on to have my daughter, Ariana, and here we are, 9 years sober and inspiring other people and trying to tell my story to help others.
Wow, that hits me. I have a daughter. She's going to be 7 very soon after this interview comes out. And so the fact that you found this out and it helped change your perspective of things, in a sense, I want to say, I know this is a big statement, but almost like she helped save you. Like her life actually gave your life more purpose, which is a special thing as a parent. We both feel that as parents, but would you feel that in a way that you feel that connection to your daughter, that was the start of your comeback?
For sure. For sure. And I don't know if many people on here believe in faith, but I found my faith that day because, a week before I got arrested, I prayed. That second time I got arrested, I prayed in my bathroom on the floor, not even kidding. And I said, I need help. Like I've hit my rock bottom. I don't know what to do anymore. And that's when I found my faith and started really believing in that higher power, because a week later, after I prayed, I get arrested and then I found out I'm pregnant. And it's like God gave me my child, and it's really crazy to me how things work out. That's also a reason why I named my album Destiny, because it's really crazy to look back and I'm just blessed.
That's a beautiful story. That's the beginning of your comeback. What's really important there is you surrendered. And really before you can receive help fully, I do feel you have to surrender. And that to me is faith. I'm a Christian and I do believe, and I've surrendered my story. People, you can hear my story. If you go back a couple episodes, I did a solo show where I kind of unpack a little bit more about me. And I've shared it a little bit on the show too. But yeah, that's the moment where you can really start to put the pieces back together. And it doesn't always happen in a week. I do believe it's on God's time. God and the universe, I feel, are collective and put things together at the different times. And you have to be ready for it and willing to accept it.
Yep.
And when things don't come as expected, that's when you kind of ask yourself, how did this happen for me? What can I learn from it? How can I put my best foot forward? But that's a special story to the beginning of a comeback, which is not easy. And congratulations. Cheers to your 9 years plus.
Thank you.
10 years of sobriety coming up here. You're welcome. And I want to talk about something too, because anytime I've gotten help in the past, and I've gotten some counseling, I went through a divorce and I tried to get as much help as I can through that situation. One of the things I always noticed that I didn't love about receiving help is a lot of times we talk about the now and the current situation. In your case, it would have been like if somebody just keeps saying, stop using and you cannot use this. You're going to go to jail if you use this. You're breaking your probation, all this stuff, right? And they're talking about the situation, not the root cause of it. And if we go back to the root cause of your story, a lot of it happened with the bullying in school, not fitting in school, and kind of it became you needed an outlet. And unfortunately, what presented itself was something that was real serious and scary and turned into something very serious over time. And it doesn't always have to be that. It could be just that somebody maybe shuts down and they don't grow into their vibrant self because they're continually worried about their self-image. So I do want to talk about how you got through your 9+ years, some of the things you can encourage people if they're starting their comeback journey or they're surrendering in the moment right now, listening to this and saying, I do want to start day by day getting my comeback story together. But also, let's go back to that high schooler, that 14-year-old girl who's struggling a little bit with self-esteem, and maybe they fail to give themselves enough love. I know that many people, myself included, we fail to give ourselves self-love. What would you like to share with our audience then to help them refocus on what's truly important when it comes to their self-confidence, their image, and their self-worth?
Yeah, I think for sure at a young age, I had a really hard time with my image. It was because I was a tomboy, and the bullying really kind of hit me in another way where I couldn't be myself. I couldn't open up and just talk to kids like just being me. So I feel like I put a face on throughout the years where I was just kind of in this bubble. And I think over the years, especially the past 5 years, I've really kind of dived in to find myself and who I am truly as a person, as a woman, who I'm growing into. But I think that's what really kind of was a hard time throughout the years, trying to find who I was. And in reality, we ask ourselves those questions every day, and we don't have those answers. We have to really kind of experience that, and we need to go out and kind of adventure to find ourselves sometimes. And I feel like that's kind of like where I was at for years. I didn't really know who I was, what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be, and music.
It takes those experiences, right? Like you didn't know when you were 14 and maybe having those down times that you would become a budding, highly talented musician. Were you already singing at that point, or did that come later?
I was. So my family's really musically orientated, but I think just the drugs kind of filled that void. That was my kind of escape away, but the drugs kind of just took it, And so when I started using, I actually put down my guitar. I didn't do music for 4 years because drugs were my main thing.
Took over everything, yeah. It sounds like you had a beautiful family, right? And a lot of times people start pointing fingers there. And it sounds like you had a beautiful relationship with your mom.
Yep.
And that could be the case. And it doesn't always have to be from a broken home, or you don't know what somebody's struggling with. That could be away from their family and something gets a hold of them, and then they're embarrassed to share it with their family. And then the people who love and support them that can help them or get them help, a lot of times people don't use their resources because of either being embarrassed or exposed or whatever. What would you say helped you out the most in getting back to where you're at today? Like, did you have something that you felt over time really helped you get through this? Was there like a community group or something you did that was a big part of you staying 9 years sober?
To be honest, it was the fans and the supporters out there. I remember when I had my daughter, and that's when I started doing music. In rehab, I started getting back into it. But I think honestly, really 2013, 2014, I started going live on an app called Periscope. It's now closed down, but at the time, that was my main app that I would go live on.
I remember Periscope. Yeah. It was kind of like IG Live, basically.
Yeah. And so Periscope was my community to kind of stay sober. I was able to talk about my story, and I was able to sing and like hang out with people. It was like my community. So it was really kind of cool throughout the years. That was really my support system, which was really awesome.
I want to share so much about what you've been doing musically and the different people you've been working with too. I do need to take a quick sponsorship timeout. We're going to do back-to-back. We're going to talk about Navigator Bookkeeping, which is actually the services we use at Social Chameleon. And if you're wondering what Social Chameleon is all about, I'm going to tell you about that in the break. We'll be back in 2 short minutes. Hey guys, it's Mike. I'd like to give a proper shout out to Navigator Bookkeeping. Look, for a long time, I ran my business without really understanding the full financial picture. I used my gut and my bank account balance to make decisions, which led to some poor choices and constant stress over my business's finances. I knew something needed to change. At the beginning of 2021, I made a decision that helped pave a more clear path for my business. I started working with Navigator Bookkeeping. Since then, my bookkeeping has been handled for me. I now understand the full financial story of my business, making important financial decisions much easier now, and it helps me plan for where my business is going. I highly recommend giving Navigator Bookkeeping an opportunity to help your business. Check them out at navigatingyourbooks.com. Again, that's navigatingyourbooks.com. It's time to know the full financial story of your business. Podcasting is a great way to engage with your audience and stay consistently relevant. The only problem is you don't have the time or desire to produce your own show. You simply want it done for you, and that's where Social Chameleon comes in. All you need to do is press record and upload the files. We'll handle the rest. From planning, production, post-production, distribution, and digital marketing, we have you covered. We realize that times are tough and funds are tight, and Social Chameleon believes in building supportive business relationships. By clicking on the link in this promo, we'll provide you 7 free podcasting tips to get started, as well as a free 30-minute online consultation. This is the perfect opportunity for entrepreneurs, keynote speakers, industry experts, influencers, and anybody who has a personal brand. With Social Chameleon, we help you build a brand that is out of this world. We're ready and waiting, so what are you waiting for? Click on the link to get started today. All right, we're back in action with Mindy Davey. And guys, a reminder that you can connect with her on social media, on Twitch, all the different apps that she's on. It's clickable in the show notes for super easy access, so you guys don't have to write anything down or save it on your phone. Click on the links there. Right before the break, we're talking about Mindy's comeback story in a unique way that she's doing this. Once she started to get herself clean and get clarity and became a mother, it also was the beautiful beginning of her musical relationship with herself again. She got a little bit away from it. So I'd love you to talk about kind of the industry and how it may be difficult to also get through what you're doing being sober when you're on tour. I'm sure there's things around and people around that maybe could be bad influences. And then also give some love to Buffalo. I mean, we're both from here, and I'm also a drummer, and I've been in multiple bands throughout the years in Buffalo, New York, and there's a lot of love I have for Buffalo too. Talk about how you got that launch and started, and maybe some of the cool tours that you've been on. And I have a couple follow-up questions for you too.
Yeah, like first off, for sure, being in the industry on tour, it can get really crazy, you know? And I think finding a good team around you that are going to support you, that can keep you grounded is a huge, important thing, especially for me to maintain my sobriety. I have to have a team of people always around me to keep me grounded. So going into shows or on the road or anywhere, I always have my team with me that we set up. I think it's hard being in the industry. I'm not going to name names, but there's been situations where you're placed in situations where not always 100% you're going to have say. You know, you're going to kind of be placed into a situation where someone's going to be like, okay, this is how you're going to do it. This is how you're going to be. This is what you're going to wear. And it can get very stressful. But at the end of the day, like I said, the most important thing is that you have that team that you can rely on and be around, because it's scary. It's really scary when you don't have much of a say on sets or some things that you got to do that make you feel uncomfortable, but you have that trust in that team that you're always around. So I think that was a huge thing for me to stay grounded always on tour and on the road.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. Like if you feel, not to interrupt you, but there's always repercussions of different things. Like if you turn something down, then all of a sudden I think of actresses and actors who maybe turn a role down who they don't want to do, but then that producer is not going to come back to them with another role. So they might be like, well, if I say no to this, but then if they say yes to it, it might put them in a different situation too, depending on the role. And then in your case, you're trying to break through in the music world, which you have been, and you're doing phenomenal. But as you're on the road and on the journey, and someone says, hey, we need you to do this or that, or wear this outfit, and maybe you're not comfortable in it, and it's not part of what makes you feel good, and you say no, all of a sudden, their respect for you changes because they're looking to, at the end of the day, a lot of times it's the money situation. They're trying to make money selling your records. Yes, I still call them records.
I'm going to say, too, it's crazy to me because my number one line right now going into 2022 is be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I always say that because truthfully, being put in those situations where I have to do something maybe I'm not 100% comfortable with doing, it actually made me stronger in the end, which is kind of crazy, but it kind of led me to discover who I am as a person. So over the past 3-4 years, I was put in these uncomfortable positions, but in the end, it made me stronger and turned me into the woman that I've always been trying to find. It was really crazy. That's why I always say now, be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because to me, that led me to find who I am, which is cool.
There's a lot of growth in that, like getting outside your comfort zone. It's not just a cliche or like an Instagram post. I recently did that solo episode I told you about, and I kind of struggled with it because it was like just me talking about me. And I love doing this. I love interviewing people to like find what part of their story can help people out and really run with that. But then it's like, okay, well, I have my own and I have to kind of get that out too. I represent the show. And there was power in that because after I did that, I felt really good about things because I felt like, okay, I just got that out. I don't know why I kept that in, that kind of thing. But speaking back to the person, the artist that may feel like they're doing things that are uncomfortable, but there's a line. You got to know like a respect line for yourself, where if somebody asks you to do something that I'm not cool with that, you do have to have that kind of understanding of where that line is.
Oh, yeah. There's times where, sorry to interrupt you, but there's times where people in the industry will cross those lines. And that's why you always have to maintain your personal bubble, is what I call it, and never let somebody get in between or inside your bubble. There's times where I've walked off sets because people have gotten in my personal bubble. And that's the most important thing, is your mental health, making sure that you're comfortable, that you're mentally comfortable with anything that you're going through. So yeah, 100%. Don't be afraid to stick up for yourself, is what I say. Stick up for yourself.
Yeah. Something I want to tell you that I've noticed watching you from afar, a couple of years now, we've been talking about getting you on the show since I think we launched. I kind of circled back and got you on the show, which is awesome. But one of the things I noticed when I have been following you and watching, your singles come out and your different social media content, is the vibe I get is that you're very confident in your skin and you're cool with being different. You're not the same polished pop star you see over and over and over and over again. And I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, really, is like when I was getting influence from music. So the early 90s. And you've seen a lot of like pop singers come out and they're all trying to do like the same thing. But what I love about you is you're dancing to the beat of your own drum, and you're unique in a way that you're Mindy Davey. You're not trying to be like everybody else. And I think it's really refreshing to hear and see, and it's all part of your story. Look, you're the girl that just, hey, I'm wearing a hoodie and jeans and hanging out with the boys, and that's me. I don't care. I'm not trying to be the next XYZ. That's who I am. And then, I know your look and your personal brand's changed over time, but I always can tell that it's very much you, and you're the driving force in it, not somebody trying to make you someone who you're not. So to me, that's what I want the 14-year-old or 20-year-old, or who knows, you could be 58 listening to this and just not feeling maybe comfortable in the moment, and realize that it's okay and like be yourself. Everybody else is taken, right?
Well, you know what I say is, I always say, like, there's billions of people in this world and there's one of you. And so make sure you're always showcasing and shining you, because you're special, you're unique. And that's kind of what it took me a while to see. But once I kind of found who I was and really kind of just rocked out me, you know what I mean? Like, don't care what other people think. That's where I started really becoming myself, is I cared too much of what Jake in California thought of me than, myself. And I feel like once I started to stop caring about what other people thought of me, that's when I started to live my life, found my confidence. That's what I always try to tell people.
You've taken off once you hit that stride. I see you're in a rocket ship now to your dreams, and you're doing it every day. Let's talk about the cool connections that you have. And I think we've talked about community helping you through the rehab situation, but how about community just supporting you as far as a musician, a talented singer-songwriter as well? So you've worked with Grammy-nominated producer Nathan Walters, as well as Grammy-nominated director Israel Anthem, and you're also currently working with Grammy-nominated producer and vocal coach, we talked about her earlier, Mama Jan, a.k.a. Jan Smith, the vocal coach for Justin Bieber, Usher, Drake, and many more. For all the aspiring musicians tuning in, that maybe found you on Twitch or your social media and they're tuning in to hear from you, can you talk about how you've created those amazing connections and some of the key takeaways? Like, share with the audience like the importance of growing relationships.
I think growing relationships is super, super important. I ended up releasing a song called Morgan's Song, which is based on a true story about a girl here local in Syracuse, New York. She was a victim to bullying.
I listened to it last night, by the way, and it made me stop what I was doing and like listen in. And I actually Google searched who that was all about.
So I ended up releasing that song, and it wasn't intended to actually be even released. It was just a song I made for a girl named Morgan. But I realized the power and the impact that the song had. So I ended up creating a video for it. And what happened is the video kind of went viral a little bit. And that's when I started meeting Nathan Walters. He works out of Nashville, but he works in California, out of Capitol Records too. So he ended up seeing the video and he's like, listen, you're inspirational, you're talented. Like, let's bring you out in Cali, let's do a single. So that's kind of where I started building my relationship with Nathan. And we went to Capitol, we did that, did the song out there, Drifting Away. And then he ended up introducing me to Israel Anthem, which is in Nashville, Tennessee. So we went to Nashville for about a week and we hung out there, did the music video. So I think to me, relationships are just super important because you don't know what one relationship can lead to, and so that's, I think for me, the most important thing is continuing to meet new people, continuing to branch out and, just grow.
Yeah. You don't know who's connected to who, but also you always want to like build those relationships, and you're not looking like, oh, I'm going to befriend this person so I can get to Jan or manipulate it. Like, obviously you're not doing that, but you're being yourself, you're being real, you're doing good by everybody you're working with. And then eventually the word will get out like, yeah, Mindy, she's solid. She's easy to work with. She's going to bring the best A game to every session. And that's going to get out to the next person. And the vocal coach may be like, okay, well, I only want to work with people who are serious. You recommended her now, and here's this opportunity.
And what's crazy too is like, I want people to understand that these people are people too, right? There's a lot of people out there that are trying to look for opportunities or they're looking to meet and branch out. And some of them, they kind of get like starstruck a little bit, right? But I think the most important thing to remember is they're people too, right? And they're just loving their jobs. They're singers, they're musicians. And so being yourself and just making sure you're open, honest, and clarity is the most important thing to building those relationships with people.
Mic drop moment right there. People are not untouchable, whether it's Justin Bieber, his vocal coach, the producers, many producers that you've worked with that are all winning Grammys or nominated for Grammys. I mean, you're working with A-list people and you talk to them the same way that you talk to your friends and family and you get real with them. And yeah, I think that's a super important lesson to remember, that we may be aspiring, or social media and media in general may put people on these pedestals, but a lot of times they want to just connect with you at the same level that you're working on. And it's usually a perception, not a reality of someone's personality. And, sometimes you meet someone and you're like, man, I thought they'd be a lot cooler than that or whatever. But you get to know who they are kind of behind closed doors a little bit. But at the same time, from a respect standpoint, they want to be treated the same way anyways. And that's really cool that you reminded myself and the audience, again, people are not untouchable. I heard a saying one time and always made me kind of laugh, but you think about it, like everybody puts their pants on the same way and, they're like you and I. It's important to also remember, think of it this way, like they get to talk to me today too. I'm confident. I'm Mindy Davey. Like they get to work with me today. I'm in their studio, but this is their honor and blessing just as much as it is for me to work with them, have that attitude about it. So couple shout outs. Buffalo, you've worked with GCR, the guys over from Goo Goo Dolls, right? It's Robbie Takak. Capitol Records Tower in Hollywood. You mentioned the studio in Jamestown, Lost Recording Studio. Hideaway Studios is in Minneapolis, and then also Jan Smith in Atlanta. So can you give us a couple highlights of working in studio, and what were some of your favorite experiences that always like pop back into your head saying like, man, that was so cool. I got to do that.
Big shout out to Robbie Takak, man. The biggest memory for me, I was a baby in the industry. I didn't release a single song yet. I went into GCR Audio and Robbie was there. And I'm like, he's a Goo Goo Doll. Like I'm used to seeing him on stage right now. And he's sitting at the table with me. And I will never forget it. We ordered pizza and I got to just sit there and eat pizza with Robbie and just chill. And I think that was just the most down to earth moment that I could have ever experienced. Hearing what he had to say, just hearing the things that he was saying and telling about his own personal experiences in the industry. So I don't know, to me, that was probably one of the coolest moments for me just getting into the industry, but that was definitely a fun moment. Another moment for me was being at Capitol Records. I've been into a lot of different studios where we just go in, we lay down vocals and, we'll produce stuff. But I think one of my moments was at Capitol. We didn't even intend. I was opening up a can of, I think it was like pop or something. I don't even know what it was, but I opened up a can and we heard the can noise in the microphone. And the one guy's like, that would be really cool to put it on the song. So we ended up doing that. And so I think like it's really cool when you go into a studio and you unintentionally do things and it just happens.
You capture magic unexpectedly and it just feels so good. Yeah.
Exactly. Like most recently we went to Atlanta, we worked with Mama Jan. And when we were in the studio, we were getting like unintentional things that were happening like crazy. I got super frustrated. And then that frustrating we used it in the beat. It's really cool, those moments that you just go into a studio and you're just vibing and something unintentional happens. You're like, yes, destiny. Like, there we go.
Yeah, destiny. There it is again. And what about touring? Do you have a moment that just once in a while pops back into your head where you kind of relive it a little bit and enjoy it?
You know what? I tour with my mom and my daughter. And I think there's so many memories that I have with them. But I feel like those are my favorite memories, is being able to take my daughter on tour with me to experience, and my mom, and being able to go to places around the country that I wouldn't be able to see when I'm in Buffalo, right? So I feel like those memories stay with me, because to see my daughter's face when I'm on stage, she's always side stage with me. And then I'll always make sure to pick key moments like Mall of America in Minnesota, huge area to stop at when I'm on tour with her. So I think that's probably my favorite, is to being able to share those moments with my family on the road and having them with me. It really inspires me.
She's 9 or 10 now, right?
She's actually 8.
She's 8. Okay.
Yeah.
But she's definitely old enough to have these memories. And I know with COVID, not as much touring happening the last couple of years, but she's got to have some really special times where she's looking up and seeing mom in the spotlight up there singing and wailing away. And that's magical.
Oh, yeah. And she's a special needs kiddo. So it's difficult at times being on the road. And the beginning, when I went on tour in like 2014, 2015, she was just kind of developing into talking. She couldn't really talk at a young age, and she had a lot of delays. And so I feel like over time, when we went on the road and got onto tour, she started developing even more. And that's why I always take her. It's too hard, man. I always say this to my touring musicians. Shout out to all the touring musicians that tour with kids, because it's hard when you leave your kids behind. Some people think like it's easy, but it's not. You're going to your next show and you're like, I wonder what he or she's doing at home right now. So I feel like having your kiddo with you on tour is just a blessing for me, to be able to not worry and just have her there through those moments.
Yeah.
It's really important.
That is really cool that you got to do that. Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, you've just been growing in so many incredible ways over time. One of the questions I was going to ask you is how you balance writing, recording, performing, your appearances on Twitch, and also being a mom. And it sounds like you've already started to incorporate your family into what you're doing. Is there anything else that you can say has helped you out at all?
I'd say definitely the support system, because there's times where I wouldn't be able to do half of what I'm able to do if it wasn't for, my mom or dad watching my daughter, or certain things that I'm able to do is because of my support system. So I definitely say that is a huge reason for me being able to do what I do. And
shout out to mom and dad right there.
Yeah.
And Ariana as well.
Yep. And I have to drop a big shout out to my manager, Mike Letica. He's been a huge reason on why we're as far as we are. He's been a huge support system for me, because truthfully, he's my mentor. He's not just my manager. He's my mentor. If I have an issue or I have a problem that's going on, I'll call him up and he's the one that's going to take care of it, So big shout out to Mike, because he's definitely the leader of the pack and helps me daily. So for sure.
That's awesome that you have that guidance in your corner, for sure. A couple more questions here. I know you're going to run and you got to get back to your daughter too. With total respect for that. This is a fun one, just to kind of get a feel for you and have you think of like a hypothetical here. But if you can go on a world tour and you get to pick the band that you're playing with, any band, artist, whoever may be, past or present, who would that be and why?
Who would that be and why?
I could see the poster right now. Mindy Davey, and then who are you playing with?
I'd have to say it's a toss-up between Halsey or BB Rexa. I'd say definitely Halsey for sure, just because it's a dream to be able to meet her one day and be able to go on tour with her. Holy cow, that would be crazy, But yeah, I'd say definitely Halsey. She's inspirational for me, being a woman in the industry. She inspires me daily. And she just had her daughter too.
See that? You got a connection?
Which is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that happening for sure. And I know you're going to continue to manifest it. Again, it's that nobody's untouchable. She was in a similar position to you not long ago, right? Right before like maybe the major breakthrough point. But you're doing all the right things. You're working with the right people. You have the talents and skills, the energy, the personal brand. You have all the pieces there. You're already doing exceptionally well. Literally, like the word success can be defined in so many different ways. I mean, you tell me someone who's doing what they love, they're touring and their family gets to go with them. That's the highest level of success right there. Then it's just a matter of how many people are in the arena and how many downloads did you get on Spotify and stuff. And that can also define success, but maybe by someone else's terms. I think you're already a huge success. And that's not even the main reason I wanted you on. It's part of it. I wanted to show someone like, look, like Mindy's doing this, and I want someone listening to go and do their magic, right? Go do it.
Yep.
Their calling is in purpose in the world.
And I always say, for anybody out there along the journey, you're going to fall. Like, I've fallen so many times, but I feel like it's really important that throughout your journey, you're going to fall down, but that's okay. That's the best part about it, is you can get back up and you can continue that journey. So just learn from those drops, learn from those falls, get back up, dust your shoulders off, get back at it,
Yeah.
Just never give up.
Never give up. I'm going to throw you something here. It's not designed to be a curveball. I like to do this to kind of wrap the show up, because it allows you to speak to the things that you care about and that you're looking to do in your life. And I want you to imagine this for a second. So you're the author and protagonist in your own life story, and you get to write the ending. So God willing, you live a long and prosperous life. You're looking back, you're reflecting on it, and you get to define your legacy. What would that be?
I think, to be honest, defining my legacy would be continuing my sobriety. It would be continuing to be the best woman, the best mom, the best person I possibly can, and to just live life to the fullest for what time I have on this earth, and that's the goal for me. I'm going to continue to live my life. I'm going to continue to experience the sober life and meet people along the way, man, and just release music, just continue this blessing in this journey. And yeah.
See, the reason I asked that is because it gives the full picture of really what you're looking to accomplish in your life. And I think it's powerful for you to say it out loud if you haven't yet. So I want you to reflect on that too after this interview. And then what I love about it is a lot of times when someone answers it like you did you notice that a lot of the things that you said you want to get out into the world, you're doing it already, at least at some level. So continue to do what you're doing and you will get there. I mean, you have all the tools. You're a beautiful person in every way that word can be defined. You're welcome. And it just makes me so happy that I've been able to chat with you over this hour. And I'd love to continue a friendship too, to support you in your music career. And, if you're doing a show that I can get to, I'd love to be there and support you and even do some live stuff where we can capture the moment. I think that would be amazing.
I know I got to get a show in Buffalo. I got to get a show going in Buffalo.
I know, right? Yeah, definitely. Give a little Buffalo for sure. Maybe the Super Bowl parade, you could do something like outside.
Right. That'd be cool.
Throw it out there, manifesting it. Last one for you, and I'll let you run. So is there anything that I didn't ask you today or that we haven't talked about that you were hoping, like maybe it's something burning inside you right now that you wanted to get out into the world that hasn't surfaced yet?
Yeah. You know what? I think my experience at Jan Smith Studios, we just went there 4 months ago at the end of last year. And man, it was a crazy experience. Being able to work with people who have worked with people that inspire me so much is definitely a humbling experience. And for sure, I think going in and being able to work with a team, her team especially, it was just an incredible, incredible experience. And the cool thing about that is I haven't said this anywhere else, but in about 2 months, we're going to start releasing kind of sneak peeks of some of the new songs off the album. And not my first album, but my album called Destiny. This is probably one of the most important albums that I've ever written. I want to make sure I'm taking my time on it. And so that's coming in the summer of this year. So
summer 2022.
Yes, I'm so excited because I haven't released music in about a year. And that's because we've been working so hard in studios throughout last year to really release the best album that I could possibly release. So I'm incredibly excited. But yes, you heard it first on Mike's podcast.
There it is.
We're going to be having an album this summer. So it's coming.
I got the scoop. Destiny, maybe. Hey, guys, Mindy Davey. It's MindyDavey.com. Mindy Davey. She's all over on social media. It's hard not to follow what she's doing because you're going to fall in love with her story. You're going to fall in love with her content, her music. It resonates. It's unique. She's got her own way of doing her sound. I just love it. And I know that the sky's the limit for your platform and what you're going to do with it. I really do mean it. You're already doing it now, and I'm just so excited to ride this wave and see where it goes for you. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm going to get myself on Twitch and see what you're doing over there with all the cool kids, right?
Come hang out. Come hang out. Have fun.
I just had my 36th birthday. I feel like I'm an old man. I'm like, let's just Twitch machine now.
You don't even look 36.
All right, cool. I'll take that. You're like, you look 46, but no. I appreciate it. Hey, I do feel Isabel keeps me young for sure. She's going to be 7. And I have the same energy and imagination that I did when I was 7 years old. So
amen to that.
To me, yeah, age is totally, it's a number. Obviously, it puts you in these different categories and responsibilities in life, depending on where you're at. But really, the most important thing for me to remember is how much importance that you put and focus on having fun. That's different for everybody.
We're all kids at heart, right? We're all kids at heart.
The reason it feels so good when we're doing that is because that's what we're supposed to do. We're designed to have fun. We're designed to love and be loved. And so I just love being a big kid, you know? And I don't think that'll ever change. I can think of my one grandpa who, you know, he always was that smile he'd have on his face and the energy like he was a little kid too, you know? So
right on.
Amen to that. So guys, tuning in, thank you so much. Mindy, thank you for your time being here. I think there's probably 100 different takeaways that people can go back and listen to this episode. And I think the conversation's timeless. So if you're listening to this way out in the future, you can come back to Mindy when she's dropping Destiny and you go, man, we got the scoop right when that thing was coming out. So that's pretty cool.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll stay tuned. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
I'd like to give a huge shout out to everyone for tuning in, especially those who listen all the way to the end to hear this message. Seriously, I appreciate you and my guests do as well. Giving a quick reminder to subscribe to this show. It's completely free and will allow you to receive notifications when new episodes are released. If you'd like to provide a tip as a gift, you can do so via patreon.com/micedup. It's spelled MIKED up. Patreon.com/micedup. You can give as little as $1 per month or as much as you'd like. Every dollar is greatly appreciated and completely unexpected. Appreciate your reviews and your messages coming in on social as well. Keep them coming. Your feedback is valuable and absolutely means the world to me. You can check out more episodes and content at mikeduppodcast.com. We're powered by Social Chameleon. You can also follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active, and it's at Mike DiCiccio, MIKEDICIOCCIO. Thank you so much for your continued support. You guys know what to do. Be great and be grateful.